When we talk about poverty, many immediately think of a lack of money. But Robert Kiyosaki, the renowned author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, teaches us something very important. Poverty is not the lack of money, it's the lack of financial knowledge. This phrase sums up one of Kiyosaki's central ideas. Poverty is not just about earning money, but about how you manage what you earn. Many people believe that if they had a higher salary or a larger bonus, their financial problems would disappear. However, this is not true. What really matters is what you do with the money you already have. Let's reflect on this for a moment. How many people do you know who earn well but can't escape the rat race? They work, earn money, but by the end of the month, they can barely pay their bills or end up in debt. This happens because they don't know how to manage or multiply their money. Kiyosaki always makes it clear that the real problem is not how much you earn, but how you use your earnings. There are many examples of people who start with little, but with financial knowledge. They can create wealth over time. They make their money work for them. On the other hand, people who earn a lot often remain stuck in the work cycle because they don't know how to invest or use their money intelligently. This leads us to an important conclusion. Poverty is a mental and structural cycle. It is not caused exclusively by a lack of money, but by a lack of financial education. To break this cycle, you must understand that financial knowledge is the key to creating a prosperous life. When Kiyosaki says, poverty is a state of scarcity and often of mindset, he is warning us about something very profound. Poverty is not just a lack of financial resources, but a lack of long-term vision and, most importantly, a mindset that limits possibilities. If you always think about spending now, living excessively in the present without worrying about the future, you're trapped in a poverty mindset. This is a way of living that focuses on the short term, where the goal is simply to survive from day to day without thinking about future consequences. People with this mindset tend to spend everything they earn on immediate desires, like items that seem necessary, but that don't actually contribute to their financial growth or wealth building. The problem isn't spending, but not understanding that there are other ways to allocate resources intelligently, like investing or saving. On the other hand, those who adopt a prosperity mindset understand that money is not meant to be consumed immediately, but to be multiplied. True financial freedom comes when you start building wealth with knowledge, when you begin to think about investing and creating assets instead of consuming liabilities. A poverty mindset is the biggest obstacle you need to overcome. It prevents you from seeking deeper solutions, looking at the long term, or thinking about strategies to increase your income instead of limiting yourself to surviving on a monthly salary. When you free yourself from this scarcity mindset and begin to understand that money can work for you, you open doors to a new level of financial freedom. Kiyosaki always says, those who don't understand money always work for those who do. This is a direct and clear warning. Financial ignorance is one of the main reasons people stay stuck in cycles of poverty, even when they earn money. It's not about how much you earn, but about how much you know and what you do with what you know. When you don't understand how money works, you become vulnerable. People who don't invest time in learning about personal finance, how the market works, or investment strategies end up becoming slaves to money, working tirelessly without getting anywhere. For example, imagine you earn a good salary, but don't know how to invest that money. Instead of putting part of it into assets that generate returns, you end up spending it all or putting it in accounts that don't provide long-term value. The lack of financial knowledge makes you keep working to earn more instead of making your money work for you. Financial education is the starting point. If you don't study, you'll never know how to make smart decisions with your money. You'll be easily manipulated by financial institutions, financial product sellers, or even governments who end up influencing your financial behavior negatively. Does it seem difficult? It's not. The first step is to get informed. Today, information is within everyone's reach. There are books, podcasts, videos, and even free courses that can help you begin your financial learning journey. Investing time in educating yourself financially is one of the best choices you can make. When you start understanding what's happening with your money, your perspective on finances changes completely. Instead of being a victim of your lack of knowledge, you become the master of your own financial life. Kiyosaki always reinforces, if you don't get informed, you'll be deformed. Financial ignorance is a choice, just as education is. If you choose to learn, you'll be able to make smarter financial decisions, get out of the rat race, and finally create the wealth you desire. Kiyosaki says, "The poor work hard physically. The rich work hard mentally." Here, he makes an important distinction between the type of work most people do and the type of work that really leads to financial freedom. Laziness is not just a lack of physical action, but a lack of mental action. And this is the laziness that prevents so many people from achieving financial success. There are two types of laziness: physical laziness and mental laziness. Physical laziness is the fatigue of the body. Procrastination to do tasks that require physical effort, like cleaning the house or going to the gym. Mental laziness, however, is more insidious. It manifests when people don't want to think, when they don't seek creative solutions for the financial problems they face, or when they settle with their limited knowledge and don't invest in learning more. Mental laziness is the most dangerous because it prevents you from thinking of ways to improve your financial life. People with a poor mindset tend to be passive, waiting for opportunities to come to them. They believe that change will only happen when a dream job appears or when a miracle occurs. But that's not true. Change only happens when you decide to go after it. Kiyosaki always says, "Don't look for a job, create a job." This means that instead of waiting for an opportunity, you must take control of your own financial life. Don't wait for the right moment. That moment will never come. The secret to success is in action, initiative, and the pursuit of creating value, not just consuming what's offered. You have to be the creator of your own luck. Procrastination, excuses, and inaction are forms of self-sabotage. When you put off until tomorrow what you can do today, you're simply delaying your success and financial freedom. Don't wait for perfection or ideal circumstances. Act now. Start with small steps, but start today. Remember, the real work you need to do isn't physical, but mental. Mental work is what will take you further. It involves constantly learning, thinking of creative solutions, and acting consistently. Close the door to laziness and start transforming your life now. Kiyosaki firmly believes that integrity is one of the fundamental pillars for creating wealth, and he makes it clear that many people remain stuck in poverty because they lack credibility. He says that a lack of character and ethics is one of the deepest reasons for financial failure. When someone is not trustworthy, lacks ethics, or acts dishonestly, they compromise their reputation, and with it, the ability to attract real opportunities. For success, integrity builds invisible assets, reputation, trust, and networks. This is the central message Kiyosaki conveys. He believes that trust is a more valuable asset than money. When you are trustworthy, doors open. People want to do business with you. They trust your word, and this is essential for creating a solid foundation of financial and professional relationships. On the other hand, people without integrity end up creating a negative reputation that can harm their future opportunities. If you're known for being dishonest, not keeping your promises, or cheating to achieve your goals, you'll always be limiting your own potential for growth. The financial market and the business world reward those who are trustworthy, consistent, and ethical. What Kiyosaki wants to teach us is that wealth is a long-term game, and no one wins this game without credibility. Imagine you have a great business opportunity, but over time, your lack of character harms your relationships. Eventually, opportunities will disappear and your financial legacy will be compromised. Character and ethics are the foundation of trust, and trust is the foundation of any prosperous business. If you act dishonestly or unfaithfully, you may even achieve short-term gains. But over time, your lack of character will put you in risky situations and take you away from good opportunities. Sustainable financial success requires that you make the right choices, not only with your money, but also with your image and the people around you. Credibility is an asset that cannot be bought, but must be built over time. You need to be trustworthy, consistent, and ethical in all your actions, whether with money, business, or the people around you. Closing the door to unfaithfulness is, therefore, an essential step to achieving lasting financial success. Without integrity, it doesn't matter how much you earn, how hard you work, or how much you invest, because your journey will be compromised. Pride is often seen as a characteristic that everyone should have. However, in the context of wealth creation and financial success, pride can be one of the greatest enemies of prosperity. Kiyosaki highlights that the poor mind says, "This work is too small for me." The rich mind says, "Where is the opportunity?" This phrase encapsulates one of the greatest lessons about how the poverty mindset can limit success. Pride prevents learning and growth. When you have a proud mindset, you believe that certain types of work are beneath you. You refuse to start from the bottom or learn from small tasks because you think you deserve something grander, something bigger, and more appropriate to your status. This mindset can be destructive because it prevents you from seeing the growth, opportunities that lie exactly in the places where you least expect them. Kiyosaki teaches us that the rich learn to serve before leading. He talks about how many successful people started their careers in humble positions, accepting opportunities to learn, gain experience, and build a solid foundation. These individuals were not ashamed to start small. They knew that to achieve great things in the future, they first needed to understand the basics and develop skills, regardless of the position or task. On the other hand, the proud mindset creates a barrier to learning. Proud people refuse to start from the bottom, believing they shouldn't do certain types of work. But true dignity is not about holding a high-level position or having status, but about the effort and dedication you put into everything you do. True and sustainable financial success doesn't come from the position you start in, but from your commitment to continuous growth. Humility is the key to overcoming pride. By being humble, you're willing to learn, accept constructive criticism, work on the smaller tasks that others may despise, and seize every opportunity that comes your way. No job is too small for someone who wants to build a solid foundation of wealth. Every step, no matter how simple or insignificant it seems, is an opportunity to learn, grow, and expand your network of contacts and experiences. Often, people with a rich mindset have the power to see what others cannot. They notice opportunities where others see obstacles. They understand that any task, no matter how small, can teach you something valuable that will help you in the future. The pride of thinking you're above a job can prevent you from achieving the level of success you desire. Closing the doctor on pride doesn't mean submitting to anything, but rather being willing to learn, grow, and accept that every stage of your journey is important. The path to wealth requires you to start where you are and use every opportunity to learn and build. When you put pride aside, you'll realize you're more open to success, more willing to work for it, and more prepared to seize the opportunities life puts in your way. Kiyosaki always emphasizes that wealth is not something that happens by chance. There is a universal financial law that governs wealth creation, and to achieve financial success, you must follow these laws strictly. He reminds us, wealth comes when you follow financial laws such as pay yourself first, invest, and build assets. These laws are not suggestions or options, but fundamental principles that, if followed correctly, ensure a solid foundation for creating lasting wealth. First, Kiyosaki talks about the law of saving. This law is simple. Spend less than you earn. It sounds easy, but many people ignore this basic principle and live beyond their means. They can't save because they spend all their money on goods and services that don't generate a return. Saving is not just about putting money aside, it's about ensuring that part of your money is reserved for the future to invest and create more wealth. This concept is vital because without savings, you won't have the resources needed to seize the opportunities that come your way. The second important law is the law of investment. Kiyosaki always says, make money work for you. This means that instead of working tirelessly to earn more money, you should learn to invest what you earn. Whether in real estate, stocks, businesses, or other assets that appreciate over time, the goal is for your money to generate more money. If you don't know how to invest properly, you'll always depend on a fixed salary, which significantly limits your ability to get rich. Lastly, the law of sowing and reaping. Kiyosaki compares the process of building wealth to planting seeds. What you plant today, you will reap in the future. If you invest time and effort today to learn about finance, invest in assets, save, and build your own financial foundation, you will reap the fruits of that in the future. Wealth creation is not instantaneous. It's a continuous process of making smart financial decisions with patience and long-term vision. If you ignore these financial laws, poverty will be inevitable, even if you have a good income. What many people don't realize is that even earning well, they remain in financial hardship simply because they are not following these laws. They might be spending more than they earn, not investing their money wisely, and forgetting the importance of planting now to reap later. Following financial laws is not an option, it's a necessity. They are the fundamental principles that every successful investor and entrepreneur follows, whether at the beginning of their career or after achieving great financial success. When you learn and practice these laws, you put your financial life on the path to prosperity. Robert Kiyosaki reminds us that poverty is not a destiny, it is a daily choice based on what you know, feel, and do with money. This phrase perfectly encapsulates the concept that poverty is not something that happens by chance. On the contrary, it is the result of the financial choices we make every day based on our knowledge and actions. Many people live as if poverty were inevitable, as if it were a destiny they were predestined for. They believe that because they were born into a financially difficult environment, they will never be able to change their situation. But the truth is quite different. Kiyosaki teaches us that poverty is a consequence of the choices we make, and if we make the right decisions every day, we can change the course of our lives. Every day that you don't invest in your financial knowledge, every time you spend without planning, every time you procrastinate your finances, you're choosing poverty. However, if you start making smarter decisions, like learning about personal finance, investing in assets, saving and controlling your spending, you are choosing wealth. It doesn't matter where you start, but rather the decisions you make along the way. This idea is liberating because it gives us the power to change. Instead of seeing poverty as a permanent condition, you can see it as a reflection of the daily choices you make. With the right mindset and the necessary financial education, you can make decisions that move you away from poverty and toward financial success. Kiyosaki says the key to financial freedom is taking daily actions that lead you to more knowledge and more financial opportunities. If you want to escape poverty, the decision starts today. Don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for luck. The right moment is now, and change begins with you and your daily choices. One of the most powerful lessons Kiyosaki shares is the idea that true wealth comes from building real assets, not working for a paycheck. If you want to escape poverty, stop working just for money. Start learning, acting responsibly, and building your freedom with real assets, knowledge, discipline, and investment. This phrase sums up one of the foundations of his financial philosophy. Most people work hard to get paid at the end of the month, but this salaryman mentality doesn't generate long-term wealth. The secret to financial freedom is accumulating assets that generate passive income, like real estate, stocks, businesses, or even investments in education and knowledge. Assets are resources that, once acquired, work for you, whether through dividends, rent, or profit generated from a business. Kiyosaki teaches us the difference between assets and liabilities, and this distinction is crucial. Assets are what put money in your pocket, while liabilities are what take money out of your pocket. Many people make the mistake of investing in liabilities, like large consumption expenses, which don't generate any financial return. Instead, they should be building assets, like a property that generates rent, or a stock that pays dividends, or even a business that generates ongoing revenue. True wealth building happens when you learn to invest in assets that grow over time. It doesn't matter if you start small. What matters is starting and maintaining a mindset focused on asset creation. For example, you can start by investing in small stocks or starting a low-cost business, but over time, these assets will multiply and generate passive income that will allow you to live with more freedom and less financial worry. Building real assets requires discipline, patience, and consistency, as it is a process that takes time. It's not a quick way to get rich, but a solid and lasting strategy to ensure financial stability. Additionally, this process also involves continuous learning about how to identify good investment opportunities and how to protect your assets so that they grow sustainably. Kiyosaki always emphasizes that financial freedom comes when you learn to make your money work for you, instead of being someone who simply works for money. The key to achieving this freedom is to build and accumulate real assets that generate a constant source of income. Robert Kiyosaki frequently mentions that failure is not the end, but the beginning of new learning. This mindset of learning from mistakes is essential for anyone who wants to achieve financial success, because mistakes are inevitable in any journey, especially when it comes to building wealth. The important thing is not to avoid failure, but to know how to react to it. Many people are afraid of failing. This fear can paralyze them, causing them to avoid making financial decisions like investing or starting a new project. However, failure is not an enemy. On the contrary, it is an opportunity for learning. Every mistake offers a valuable lesson about what not to do and how to improve next time. Kiyosaki teaches us that the rich are not afraid of making mistakes. They know that mistakes are just part of the learning and growth process. When you start to understand that failure does not define your destiny, but rather how you learn from it, you become more resilient and prepared for the challenges that arise along the way. Many people who have achieved great financial success, such as Warren Buffett or Elon Musk, went through multiple failures before reaching prosperity. They didn't let it defeat them, but rather used their mistakes as the foundation for their future victories. The fear of failure is what stops many people from taking action. They avoid taking risks and making financial decisions because they are afraid of making mistakes. But if you never take risks, you will never learn how to make more informed and intelligent decisions. By learning from your mistakes, you gain wisdom and experience, two essential ingredients for financial success. The key to turning mistakes into opportunities is a growth mindset. Instead of blaming yourself for a mistake, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or, how can I improve for next time? If you adopt this approach, failures will become less intimidating and more productive. Success doesn't come from perfection, but from persistence and the ability to learn from obstacles. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Every mistake is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared to achieve your financial goals. The journey to wealth is not a straight line, but a series of ups and downs. And the most important thing is learning to get back up after each fall, applying the lessons you've learned. Over time, your mistakes will become stepping stones that will help you reach success. Robert Kiyosaki teaches us that poverty is not a destiny. It's a daily choice based on what you know, feel, and do with money. This reminds us that poverty is not something imposed on us, but rather the result of the choices we make in our financial life. Every decision, every action or inaction we take regarding our money contributes to our financial future. And the good news is that you can change your future at any time. The journey to financial freedom begins with the decision to change your mindset. As we've seen, financial education is key. It's the key that unlocks new opportunities. When you learn to control your spending, invest, and accumulate real assets, you're not just earning money, but building a solid foundation for the future. Remember, wealth does not come from working harder physically, but from working smarter and strategically. By closing the doors to ignorance, laziness, lack of character, pride, and disobedience to financial laws, you will be creating a path to prosperity. And most importantly, learn from your mistakes, because every failure is an opportunity for growth and another step on the ladder to success. Don't wait for the right moment, because it never comes. Change starts today. Start now to study, invest, save, and most importantly, start making your financial choices wisely. Over time, your efforts will multiply and you will see the results of your perseverance and commitment to your financial freedom. Now, I want to leave you with a reflection. What choice will you make today? Will you continue letting poverty define your life, or will you start making decisions that lead you to financial freedom? Remember, change is possible, and it starts with you. If you like this content, share it with your friends, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Don't leave for tomorrow what you can start transforming today. The financial future you dream of depends on the actions you take. Now,